Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk. Name Cohen Dustin here. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about forum questions, bet of the week, sleepers and busts. But today, let's start with some tips heading into the playoffs.
All right. Here's a tip for you. Utilize. I know we talk a lot about your bench, but now it's time to get your bench ready for the playoffs. Look at your bench. Is there anyone on your team that just will not start for your team? If there is, get them off your team and get someone that could potentially start on your team. Another example is you might want to start handcuffing more as far as, one example of this is if you have Matt Forte and let's say Ballard on your bench. Ballard, decent value, not a bad guy to have on your bench for depth, but I'd much rather see you have Forte and Michael Bush. Because if Forte gets hurt, you're going to start Michael Bush before Ballard in any scenario. So something like that where if you have a guy that you can handcuff, where the handcuff definitely has a huge upside, a lot of value, you're going to want to go ahead and do that. And also another thing, if you have like a backup tight end like a Jared Cook, drop Jared Cook and pick up like a David Wilson type player. Because if Bradshaw goes down, Wilson could be huge. He could actually make your starting lineup in some scenarios. And if your tight end gets hurt and you need another one, I'm sure there's 5 Jared Cooks on your waiver wire that you could pick up if that happens. Utilize your bench the best you can.
And handcuff, we've been talking about it. It's big. Handcuff Brown and McCoy myself. Got me a win last week.
Form time.
Doing one of these.
There you go.
One of these. Oh, sorry. I should be asking him a question. All
that a
right,
lot.
this comes from, I sure do, because I'm good at things. This one comes from The Sid. First of all, shout out to The Sid. Thank you. Always active in the forums. He's got a QB question, Dustin. He wants to know Locker versus Houston, Palmer versus Cleveland, or Henny at Buffalo. Who should he be starting?
This one is a little tricky because I do put all these quarterbacks as similar this week. Houston's D has not looked that great lately, and if Joseph is out again, that could be nice for Locker. Palmer, they just throw the ball so much. And then Henny, who saw that coming? He has the easiest matchup. I think upside, Henny has the biggest one, but I still think Palmer's just the safest out of this group. He's going to throw the ball 50 times again, just like they always have been as recently. Cleveland, decent pass D, but you can pass on them, and Oakland pretty much that's the only way they can move the ball. So Palmer's a little safer, Henny bigger upside, so use your matchup to break the tie. If you feel like you're winning the matchup as far as being the favorite, go Palmer. If not, go Henny. All right.
In-depth analysis right
KDB wide receiver. Pick 2 out of Eric Decker versus Tampa Bay, Greg Jennings versus Minnesota, Cecil Shorts at Buffalo, Pierre Garçon versus the Giants.
All right, first one I'm going to go with Decker. I know he hasn't been playing great, but Tampa Bay's secondary isn't good. They have a good run defense, but not a good secondary. So I think Decker has a chance to get into the end zone. Of course, he's got Peyton Manning throwing to him. Then it gets a little tough. I'm going to say Jennings is out because he's still working his way back. So I got Shorts and Garçon here. I might surprise people, but I'm actually going to go with Garçon here. I liked what he did on Thanksgiving Day. He looks to be 100%. He's the number 1 target for RG3, who's consistently ranked as a top 5 quarterback. And Shorts, on the other hand, he's been finding the end zone, but his targets are less and less, and Henny really looks to the rookie instead of him. So I'm going to say Shorts is actually going to be the one on the bench, so you're starting Garçon and Decker. All right, Dustin, Emerica Fanatic has a defense question. I got it right. You didn't think I was going to.
I did.
You definitely didn't. Damn, should he go with, or she go with Denver versus the Bucks, or the Giants at the Skins?
You were practicing that one before the show, weren't you?
I was.
I know you were. This one is a little tricky. Tampa Bay's offense has looked really great lately. Obviously, Doug Martin. Freeman's looking a lot better. And then, you got
Quad City Doug Martin.
Then you got the Giants having to go up against the Redskins and RG3. That's not necessarily, an easy matchup either. But the Giants just looked so good on D last week. I think you got to go with them. RG3 is a tough matchup. But the Giants just seem like they're doing exactly what they did last year. They're getting hot at the right time. Their defense is clicking. I think they're Super Bowl contenders again this year. And I think that defense is a big reason why they could get to RG3 a little bit. It's close, it's tough, but slight edge to the Giants.
All right, time for the bet of the week. You know how this goes. We argue, we pick something, we take a look at it, I win. That's how it works. LaShore, that's the guy we're talking about this week. I'm going to have him, the bet is after the week's done, will he or will he not be a top 18 back? And that might seem kind of low, but you got to think the random guys get 2 touchdowns, things like that. Long story short, I think he is. He's playing Indianapolis. They are not good at all against the run. I know LeSure seems like he's hit or miss, but he is the number one guy out there. I think he gets a lot of run. I think he finds the end zone, and therefore, he's a top 18 back this week.
I definitely don't dislike LeSure. I drafted him in all my leagues. I like LeSure. I like him still as a situational starter.
And this is a good situation.
Brent called him a must start before the show, so that's where the argument started happening. I don't think he's a must start. I don't think you're starting him over really big name guys, but yes, he is a good start this week.
I didn't say he was like top 5.
You called him a must start,
Top
so
18.
that's where the argument started. I think it's still just he's very situational as far as within the game, if he gets in the end zone or not. Bell still factors in a lot. I think his touches are guaranteed, but still limited. He's still, right around the 15 range. He doesn't get a ton more than that. I just think he's just not a must start. That's all I'm saying. So that's where the bet came from.
All right.
Let's go to our sleepers and busts. Yeah.
I'll be doing one of these again.
Yeah, you do that a lot. We've already gone over that. My sleeper, I'm digging deep on this one, and he is definitely the furthest thing from a must start. But if you are if you are digging deep for a receiver, you need a flex play with an upside. You got some injuries or whatnot. Jarius White, right for Minnesota. He's been getting a lot of targets out there. It doesn't look like Harvin. He loves targets. Harvin could miss another game. They're playing Green Bay. They're going to be playing from behind. He's kind of their possession type receiver. PPR leagues, I think he could definitely be a solid 10-point play for you. But again, that's digging deep. Don't go crazy. My bust, Steven Jackson. You might say, "Oh, Steven Jackson in San Francisco." Yeah, no crap. That's scary. But Jackson's coming off his best game of the year. I just want to make sure people aren't getting too excited about it. They were playing with a lead for pretty much the entire game. He's not going to do that well against San Francisco, more than likely. I'm keeping him on my bench if you can help it, and I would start LeSure over him. So throw that.
So that means Jackson's not going to be in the top 18, clearly. All right, so my sleeper, and he's kind of a sleeper everyone knows about him. He's owned probably in the majority of leagues, or he should be, and that's Denario Alexander. And the reason I want to bring him up is last week he didn't find the end zone. So the 2 weeks prior he did. People were really high on him. They might have been a little bit disappointed with him last week. I'm saying don't give up hope. He is the number one out there. I know Floyd got the touchdown, but he got the most targets again on the team. That's 3 weeks in a row. I love targets. Had the most receiving yards as well. Touchdowns. He's more of a touchdown threat always, so I really like Alexander. And then my bust, and that's going to be Noshan Marino. I actually was able to snag him in a lot of leagues. I like the guy. He's playing the Bucs. They're a really good run defense. They've given up a touchdown to a running back in the last 3 weeks, but not a ton of yards. And it's Noshan Marino. Everyone kind of needs to temper their expectations. It's a name that we all know from being a sleeper everyone hoped for years ago. He was a healthy inactive a couple times this year, so they can't be that high on him at this point, even the Denver Broncos. So just temper your expectations with Noshan. Don't do anything crazy. And I will have LeSure ranked over.
Let's go to Mike's picks. His sleeper is Ryan Broyles for the Lions. Titus Young could be out for the rest of the year. It seems like he really got himself in the doghouse. They're saying Broyles is ahead of him in the depth chart. He really likes his matchup this week going up against the Colts. That game could turn out to be somewhat of a shootout. Broyles, decent guy for you if you're looking for a wide receiver. His dud, Torrey Smith. Pittsburgh's still really good against the pass. That defense, hasn't necessarily been as good as it's been in years past, but they're still really tough against the pass. Torrey Smith, not a great option at the receiver spot for you this week. So that's it for Week 13. Good luck if you're on the bubble in the playoffs.
Good luck.
And as always, get into those forums.
Good night, Canada.
Yeah, pat him on the
Good
back.
night, Canada. That's right. Pat me on the back. I've done well. Good night, Canada.
What's wrong with Canada?
God. Yeah.